And we're live. Hello, hello.
Merry Christmas.
Hey, Matt. Thank you so
Hello.
much for filling in. Yes, so we last week we heard Chris is out of the country traveling with family, so there's not a good remote solution. While she's traveling with family, there's not going to be anywhere to to log in. So I thank you so much for having us set up and being able to do it.
Got my elf hat. I'm ready to go.
Nice. A little seasonal sound effects. Nice. So you've been working on something. We've got a session tomorrow.
Yeah.
Nice. So it's not revealed at this point. So once we go live, then you'll let us know.
Redacted.
Yes, the redacted RPG will be live tomorrow. So about this time. Yeah, about this time tomorrow.
Biz thinks he knows, but he doesn't know.
I'm still hoping it's that it's the revised edition of what Tales of Equestria or whatever. the brony.
Brony. It is not.
Oh man, all of our guesses are wrong. Yeah. Oh no, that would be a Hasbro. We can't do that. That would be a Hasbro product. Oh no, Hasbro license. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's not. That's not like an approved thing, is it?
Oh, I don't think so. Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think it is. Yeah. Right. I think it's a fan. Yeah. Almost everything for My Little Pony is like a fan thing.
What's that? Is it Thirsty Sword Lesbians?
Mm-hmm.
Is that?
Yeah.
Indirectly related to the game we're going to play.
Oh, interesting.
Very indirectly related.
Interesting. Nice. Oh, very cool. Yeah, so keep an eye out for that if you see this before then, and we'll tweet out or whatever it's called now. We'll notify on our various channels when things are live.
Yeah, they're gonna need a general term for that, right? Like
I know.
Ping or something like that.
Yeah, it's been weird because it's been really cumbersome for people that don't want to be confusing, and if they change their any sort of links or whatever over to X, they put Twitter in parentheses and stuff. It's really unwieldy at this point. It's just the worst kind of rebranding that you could possibly have done.
Yeah, most of the news agencies that I will listen to will always say X, formerly known as Twitter.
Right.
And I like to think Elon cries a little every time they do that.
Right. Yeah, they're not going to give that up. I mean, that just became so part of the culture, a tweet, nightly news and, the New York Times and everybody was reporting on tweets. Like that was a source of news now, and they would talk about things, and to just eliminate that makes entirely no sense. Just out of hubris or whatever.
Well, that's so funny is I'll see a lot of people on threads, like blue check people on threads who have finally are coming over and they're all like, it was the last straw, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, really? My last straw was 3 months ago.
Right.
Come on.
Yeah, everyone's going to have their last straw stories when they go to Blue Sky or Mastodon or wherever they end up. Yeah, that's funny.
The one thing they got going for them is they're going to kind of unify those. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, that's a good move.
So you'll be able to look at, if you're on Mastodon, you'll be able to see the threads people and everything. That's really smart.
Yeah, they have to do that because you can't splinter the community like that and expect any of those platforms to take over. They would just need, a huge investment or something to overpower or, be some reason that you would use it above the others. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really funny. But yeah, there's still, some of the OSR people and indie RPG people are still hanging in there. So I still see some posts because it is especially one of the stories we're going to talk about. It was a really good source of, who was leaving companies and, people posting their goodbyes and stuff. So you got confirmation from their actual accounts,
right.
That this is, I got my notice. But yeah. Nice. So, is there anything else I should prepare for tomorrow? So you said have something to take notes because of the character sheet situation.
Yeah,
Anything
the
else?
functionality of the character sheet is not complete, unfortunately.
Okay.
So yeah, there'll be a couple. Do you remember in Alchemy you can have trackers for different things?
Right.
I could have easily added like a million trackers, but I didn't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they're just it'll be fine.
Okay.
It's a really simple system.
Okay.
Ultimately,
Mm-hmm.
so.
Nice. Yeah, looking forward to it. That'll be fun.
Hey, real quick, I looked at the crowdfunding page for the was it MCD? What's
Yes.
it called?
Yeah.
MCDM?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Yeah, the RPG. Yeah, the unnamed as of yet named unnamed RPG.
Yeah, like I went from whatever to boo when I read their little entry about what this game is not.
Oh, interesting. What did it say?
Like,
yeah,
it almost felt political. Like I can't explain it because it was like it's not a dungeon delve game. It's not a hex crawl game. It's not exploration or survival game.
Mm-hmm.
It's about heroes fighting monsters, and what's the other thing they said? Fighting monsters and evil plots or something like that. So I mean, I was just kind of like, well, I appreciate that information because that just makes me not want to buy it.
Right.
But it, like, I don't understand why, because that's like right on the main page, and I was just like, I don't really understand what. It almost felt political. Like it almost felt like, haha, we're not old guy game or something.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and also
like,
also that implies taking politics out of things as well, because there's not going to be, if they're not mentioning, if they're just saying this is killing monsters, this is action heroes, the director or whatever is yelling cut, then yeah, that kind of implies this is apolitical. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, and I know he was a big 4th edition guy too.
Yeah, it feels like that.
It feels like this is just going to be a softball, like kind of the way I look at 5th edition. I feel like it's just like there's no cost, there's no risk. It's just we're badasses and that's it.
Right. Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, I really hope that, because it seems like a lot of the bigger publishers or people with some popularity are trying to make real crowd pleasers. They think that there's, some place that they have next to 5e or, in absence of 5e success to fill some hole that I don't think is there. I really want more Morkborgs or, games that have a real specific style, and you may hate it, so just don't pay it any attention. But people coming up, and even things like Thirsty Sword Lesbians, that's not going to be a broad appeal game, but it is what it is, and it really is going to go all out to do its flavor, make the mechanics match its setting, and I think we need more of that, because these really watered down. Well, it reminds me, you saying that reminds me of the reviews I was watching of Candela Obscura. Just this really watered down weird thing, and on their like politics page where they say don't play this game if, and that's really funny. I don't know if somebody said that or it just kind of occurred to me. Those pages are such nonsense because they're just virtue signaling, because no one would go near your game that had, far right or, some sort of, extreme conservative views. Your game is already their kryptonite. They're not going to even read that page, but they have to have this declaration of, F the Nazis, stay away from my game, don't play it. It's like nobody's going to read that and not agree with you. So what are you doing? Yeah.
You should kind of just be starting with, well, of course, F the Nazis.
Right.
Moving along.
Right. It's implied. Yeah. And Indestructible made a really interesting point that when they were kind of, how do you get around a madness mechanic? Because that's for some people from neurodivergent and people, it's like, I have a problem with a madness mechanic. I don't want to play a game where you go insane. They made a big deal of saying there is no insanity, but there are scars, and scars are physical handicaps, basically.
Right. Yeah,
and
yeah.
Indestructible is like, fuck you. It's like, I live in that world, and that's
The guy
okay.
picking an eye or whatever.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. So mental, but is untouchable. Physical, no problem. Yeah.
yeah. He told me about his video, and I watched it. It was really good. It was really thoughtful. I kind of flushed out what I was already feeling about it. So I actually shared it on Threads, and then that's where I messaged you because someone muted me
Oh
because
yeah.
because of negativity or being a downer. And it's like, oh, man,
Oh, you don't like Candela Obscura? Man, this is bad news.
how dare you critique them?
you were harsh in their buzz, their critter buzz they had going.
Yep.
It'll be fun to see if such a boring RPG, if they follow it up with anything. The Darrington Press, the Critical Role guys or their publisher, if they follow through with anything that people want to play, because this first attempt was not promising.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I anybody that asks about it, I've been saying just play Vaesen.
yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
Because I've kind of come around on the idea that Cthulhu's sanity rules are a little clumsy. It's a little weird that, I saw this monster, it freaked me out, now I have claustrophobia. I get that. That's a little random. And
Yeah.
the Vaesen thing of just you're slowly degrading your, the conditions and not like it's just so much more, I don't know, elegant. Like it's there, but it's not, doesn't feel imposed or random. It makes sense.
Yeah, and I think it works well with the role play and everything. Yeah, I think it. I think we've had some good experiences with those roles and things. The fear rolls failing. Yeah, very interesting stuff. Yeah, good. So I guess you're not getting in on this Ajax edition of DC or MCDM.
I am not.
for $500 or whatever it is. Oh no. Yeah.
My answer to that is I hope people that want to play it.
Yes.
And they should have said that themselves.
Yeah, right.
Not tell people, don't play this if.
Right. No, I think that's a good yeah, I hope we see more of that, and I hope we I don't know. I think that's a funny thing to do is and that was kind of, I think comic books had that for a while. Like there's been a lot of entertainment that's kind of had that because they've had, kind of politically activist creators working on them. And then they want to make the statement and say, this is going to really piss you off. It's like, well, those people, they're not even going to hear you say that. They're not even going to know. Yeah, it's really funny. It's kind of like, that antagonistic way that, people were in the 80s with like the Christian conservatives and stuff. They'd want to do stuff that kind of like, got some protests outside movie theaters or whatever because, so just kind of, or outside, rock concerts or whatever, just teasing them, just intentionally antagonizing them. But I don't think that works with I don't think that works in current day.
No.
All right. Well, are we ready to do this?
Yep.
All right. So no hardcore 90s extreme opening. We'll go back to vanilla.
Oh, really? No edgelord rant?
No, nothing this week. All right. Welcome to the weekly. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Matt.
Hey, Matt. So
No.
Chris can't join us until the new year, so Matt has been kind enough to fill in as co-host. So this week on the weekly, Revised Player's Handbook 2024. Hasbro Christmas Layoffs. Just in time for Tiny Tim. Shadow Scar RPG. And finally, Building Better Worlds. So we'll end on some maybe positive note. I don't know. They're trying to make it better. So yeah, we'll start off with the dog and pony show that was PAX Unplugged. I'm already tired of seeing videos and selfies or photos with RPG celebrities and things on YouTube and social media. We don't care. These people aren't famous. I guess, whatever. But yes, so PAX Unplugged, of course, Wizards of the Coast was proud to discuss, of course, the 50th anniversary. And I can't believe it took me so long to get this. And I should have had this like a couple of years ago. It's the Year of the Dragon. And it's the 50th anniversary of D&D. Yeah, that's...
What a coincidence!
Yeah, it's almost like they wanted that to happen. So I thought that was funny. So Jeremy Crawford did a little presentation of the Player's Handbook, this revised version. So it will be the biggest Player's Handbook D&D has ever had, and size is all that matters, I guess. So not only the biggest in terms of number of pages, it will have more subclasses than the Player's Handbook has ever had. It has new spells, new feats, new weapon rules, including weapon mastery options that many of you have play tested in Unearthed Arcana, and also mountains of brand new art. And does all of this art have the appropriate number of fingers? We'll find out. if they're actually it's going to be art by artists. We'll see. So yes, this art is going to be to cover the 48 subclasses. So each class has 4 subclasses, and each is getting their own illustration, hopefully by humans. And there will also be backgrounds for the characters to choose from, and all of those backgrounds will have art represent. So the subclasses will have kind of suggestions of what your background could be. So there'll be like a context for this art for the subclasses. And it will show you, representing places where you could come from. Some of the examples that they showed were a carnival for the charlatan, a temple topped with a giant sun disk for the acolyte, a peaceful valley for the hermit, and a workshop for the artisan. So it's now your background affects more than your character's starting scores. It'll give you special feats. So they're moving towards that whole thing. So moving away from species or race doing anything and having it all be the work of your background. And a host of new options. So yeah, it just goes on and on. But the thing that they did emphasize, I don't think we're really interested in their rules changes very much, but they are trying to guarantee you that you can play your old 5e copy of Curse of Strahd or Shattered Obelisk with this new rule book. Or if you still love your character from original 5e, whatever they're calling it, that will still be playable as well. So they emphasize the compatibility. So keep playing those characters.
Well, it has to be compatible, right? Because it's not 6e.
Right, that's right. We can't. How dare us even consider moving to a 6th edition? So yes, and the big question everyone was wondering, if you've ever wondered what a challenge rating 20 or higher ooze will look like, well, the new monster manual that's soon to follow will have you covered. They have a blob of annihilation, really difficult ooze. I think the whole game is going to be difficult ooze.
I think that's the dude in HR that laid off all those people.
Yes.
Blob of annihilation.
It probably was. That was his nickname. Blob of annihilation.
They should draw a blob with a little necktie.
Yes, and a whole pile of pink slips. So they're doing an adventure campaign. And of course, the new thrilling adventure that's going to come out shortly after the Player's Handbook will feature everyone's favorite character from Stranger Things, Vecna. The villain of season whatever of Stranger Things. Yeah, you know that guy. Well, he's going to be in D&D like he wasn't before.
Did you read that summary on that? It's ridiculous. It's basically just, hey, let's do what Marvel did, and we'll just have this series of adventures where you meet all kinds of legendary people from D&D, and it channels into one big showdown with Vecna. And
no.
it's like, oh, what the
wow.
so tragically predictable.
Yeah, that's really terrible. Yeah, so it's the Dungeons and Dragons cinematic universe. Yeah, wow. In in campaign form. Yeah, so Vecna, Eve of Ruin will yes. So that's so exciting. And then yeah, their anthology quests of from the Infinite Staircase. It's all coming out, and it's all going to be so bland and mediocre. But they're going to name drop the hell out of these classic characters. So yes, and
so are they going to have like the old, like the Greyhawk characters, the ones that are based on like Gary
right.
characters, like Morton Kanan?
Right. I wonder. Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. Because they're already with Planescape, they already are talking about the multiverse of D&D. So maybe they'll try to anything they have the rights to. I'm sure they want to reproduce somehow. So it's all coming. But speaking of Blob of Annihilation, as Matt brought up before, Hasbro announced just in time for Christmas, so 2 weeks prior to the holidays, just after you did all of that Black Friday shopping and Cyber Monday shopping, and your credit cards are maxed out, you don't have a job. Hasbro has announced.
Wait, hold on. Can you hear that?
Yes. Yes, you'll probably still get a company credit Christmas card, but that's the last thing you're going to see from Hasbro. So yes, 1,100 employees laid off just before the holidays. So a lot of outlets covered this. I saw, basically everyone covering tabletop was just like, "What are they doing?" And they've kind of, I think they earlier. Oh no, it was actually almost a year ago. So last January they had their like 600 or 500 or 600 layoff when they were doing some of their adjustments. And so they've had a lot of bad PR. So Wizards with Magic the Gathering and D&D has had a lot of negative press, and so they've thought they'd finish the year off strong by the parent company totally screwing everybody and doing a big layoff right before the holidays. So CEO Chris Cox, who used to be the CEO of Wizards, released a wonderful memo that just said, "Team, pack your stuff. So today we're announcing additional headcount reductions." I love the sly vocabulary of corporate America. "As part of our previously communicated strategic transformation." Affecting approximately 1,100 colleagues globally. In addition to colleagues, in addition to the 800 already taken. Yeah, so I guess during the course of the year they've already done 800. So 1,900 total this year. That's pretty good. It's gonna put them in the black for sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I like that they're not firing. They are announcing headcount reductions. We're just going to skip you. It's like, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Oh, I guess, you're out. So that's close to a full fifth of Hasbro's entire workforce. That's pretty brutal. And cuts are basically everywhere. So, Wizards was not spared at all. And so Chris goes on, CEO Chris goes on to say, "While we're confident in the future of Hasbro, the current environment demands that we do more. Even if these choices are some of the hardest we've had to make." Yeah, I'm sure they were real hard.
Yeah. Did you take a pay cut, Chris?
Right.
Yeah.
"So I know this news is especially difficult during the holiday season. There is no sugarcoating how hard this is, particularly for the employees directly affected." And also the people sitting next to an empty desk. Okay. Yeah. And of course,
Barb's really pissed because she can't steal Frank's bagel anymore.
Right? Yeah. They've also cut the number of bagels. So yes, as part of a regulatory filing, of course, we got to find out that Cox makes $1.5 million a year, and last year received his total compensation was 9.4 with bonuses and all that wonderfulness. And that's American capitalism. I mean, nobody gets paid like that in Japan, and Japan is like the third biggest economy in the world. There aren't those weird bloated paychecks. But America does that with celebrities and sports, athletes, everything. So that's just the style. So you You can hate that as much as you want, but that's the system you're living in. But it's ridiculous to see this kind of compensation that if it was split between all the employees would have gone a lot further.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so they knew 2023 was going to be a challenging year. They were expecting that, right? And the weird thing is, though, they had the earlier this year, it was October, they had the shareholders call where they said they're up 40%. Magic the Gathering and D&D and Monopoly Go, I think, are up 40%, and their licensing from Baldur's Gate 3 is doing gangbusters for them. They're doing great, but time to tighten the belt. And the first thing that I saw, the first way that I saw this kind of, I think it was on a business website, they kind of pitched this is, well, we have to move out of our the headquarters in Rhode Island, their Providence. Yeah, their Providence headquarters, because they've got so many people working remote. It's an empty building, and we're not going to renew our lease in January 2024. So that's a big reason that we had to lay a bunch of people off, because we're what?
Because of an empty building?
Yeah, because a building that was already empty, and we just don't like it. So yeah, so they're giving up their kind of flagship, their big headquarters, and it's ridiculous. Actually, I have a photo. Boom! Look at that monstrosity. So that was built during the go-go 90s, or maybe early 2000s. There's a ton of buildings in LA that look just like that. But yeah, they're giving that all up. And so I guess the next company is going to have to be cool with Mr. Potato Head and all that stuff permanently installed outside their offices, because that's what they've got. But yeah, Hasbro is making some big cuts, and just saying this is what we're doing, because they already were previously talking about the focusing on their kind of streamlining, focusing on the big brands. Even though it's been a record year, they still were talking about how to and also we talked about them moving up that E1 and selling off the properties for that E1 entertainment. So fewer, bigger, better brands. So basically what G.I. Joe, My Little Pony, and Transformers, and then D&D and Magic. That's all we're going to be getting shortly. Yeah.
So this story was funny when it rolled out. I mean, I kind of spammed you with articles because it rolled out almost hourly, because the first article I saw was about generally about the cutoff, the cuts, the layoffs, and then it didn't specify anything, but it did go out of its way to point out that Magic and D&D were they're big earners. And then the second one was it turns out they are gonna lay off some of the people at Wizards.
Yeah. And
then the third one was here's the people they're laying off at Wizards. And oh my gosh, why wasn't Kyle Brink on that list?
Yeah, that's a shame. I guess he this is not going to be the year. This is not going to be the Christmas that Kyle says, because of my white fragility, I need to step down, family. We're going to have to start eating instant ramen noodles from now on, because I can no longer, as a straight white man, head up D&D. Yes.
Well, they laid off, I don't know if you probably saw this. They laid off the Magic the Gathering community manager who's with him for 28 years.
Yes.
She's a female, but Kyle kept his job.
Yep, Kyle, yeah.
And I'm okay, this is just because I used to play Magic, so I'm always thinking about this. They destroyed their judge training program, right, for Magic tournaments.
Right.
And now they've fired their community manager. What is Magic the Gathering now? I don't understand.
Yeah, it's going to be a digital online collectible card game. Yeah. Because I mean, if they want to just move things into the digital world, because that's much more profitable than all this crazy printing, then you don't need a community manager. You just need software and bots. Yeah. So yeah, the list was pretty brutal. Art director Brianna Hess, senior developmental editor Aiton Bernstein, producer and host Amy Dallin, game designer Dan Dillon, product manager Natalie Egan, senior communications manager Larry Frum, and then Magic the Gathering community manager Jesse Hill. Brutal. Yeah, and one of the posts, I unfortunately cut off the name, but one of the posts of saying goodbye was, hello, lovely network of folks. As a result of recent Hasbro layoffs, I am looking for a new role and would appreciate your support. Thank you in advance for any connections, advice, or opportunities you can offer. # open to work. So yeah, that's bad. And and head of licensing and publishing, Liz Schul will, is gone after 28 years. That's brutal. Yeah, so it's really strange, and I guess they are refocusing, and they're gonna, probably print less books and have less to do because it's gonna be just digital and it's gonna be generated by AI. So who needs
just further betting on this online walled garden paying off for them?
Yes,
they're like triple down on that now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they really are, because if people don't adopt this heavily, then they're really going to be screwed, because they don't have the people to actually produce much now. Yeah, it's really weird, and I don't know. They'll probably never fully disclose the cost of this development, but that may be a huge reason, even though they were up on so many of their licenses and different properties. Maybe the development costs, have reached into the tens of millions for this stupid VTT, and they're just hoping that this thing pays them back someday. Yeah,
it's not going to be through their little what's their video channel called?
Oh, they're fast streaming.
The one no one can find.
Right. Yes. Yeah, I don't know if it's named. Yeah, but they just say they're the D&D fast channel, fast streaming channel. Yeah, it's so weird. They and that's probably another big money sink, because they professionally produced television shows that went out on some indefinite strange platform that is supposed to be ad supported, but if nobody can find it, they're not going to be seeing any ads. So I don't know quite how that works. But Wizards responded when people reached out to them to ask some questions about all these layoffs. They're saying, we're not sharing or commenting on the breakdowns on geography or teams out of respect for employees. We want them to die unnamed and unsung. And they're also saying that there are more potential redundancies over the next 6 months. So expect more bad news and more names to be taken down. Yeah, and also Mike Merrills, who moved over to Wizards, or was in Wizards, moved over to from D&D to Magic the Gathering not that long ago. But one of the co-designers of 5th edition, is among the numbers. Yeah, so shared a Blue Sky. There's a screenshot from Blue Sky that confirmed he was one, or he may be one. I guess it's, as of this recording, still being verified, but there was a hint in a social media post. So just nuts. They've had a really mess of a year, and if everybody forgives them and forgets about it because of this anniversary year, I'll be very depressed. We'll be sure to talk about it, but
there'll definitely be a segment that does, right?
Yes.
It's just like everything else. Critical Role, Elon Musk, everyone. There's always that segment of fanboys, because that's all we do. Everything is sports teams now. We just root for our teams, but they're gonna slowly bleed people. Like, it's not going to be dramatic at first, maybe, but I feel like they've probably already lost a noticeable amount, and they're going to just keep losing people here and there.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think that because we've talked a little bit about that with Games Workshop. I think Games Workshop is losing actual talent, and it's just fans. It's like this second or third generation of fans that are now employees of Games Workshop, because a lot of people with some serious years put in are gone. So who knows who they have writing rules and who they have, doing their art direction and everything now. It's not any seasoned professionals. So, yeah, I think D&D is going to start experiencing that too, and we're going to feel it. So, the game's going to, feel it. It's going to feel like that. It's a service. It's gone from tabletop roleplay game to subscription service. Yes, on the 50th anniversary.
I also like, I know this was your first story, but the PAX videos, oh my gosh. Like,
yes.
I feel like there's some of these folks who need to go back and take some sociology classes because what's happening is like with all this name dropping and like, oh, I saw Matt Mercer and I got to sneak preview the new VTT version and then blah, blah, blah. It's like, this is what the elite class does, right? If they can't destroy you, they absorb you. They seduce you in and promote you to their level.
Yeah.
That's exactly what's going on. Like, I won't name names here, but you know who.
Yes.
Rhymes with Dr. Game Master. It's like this guy was all like, low tech indie D&D player, and now he's like just chummy and so happy.
Yep. Yeah. Once you saw maybe the views, the views and the ad revenue that comes with putting Matt Mercer's face on your on your thumbnails. Yeah, it's really if they can't beat you, they just swallow you up. And I think, and we've seen that in a lot of so hang tough, indie RPG designers do not be seduced by the
don't go to the dark side, Orcus.
Yes, right. Yeah, right. It's it's weird, and it's weird how just a little bit of that, a little bit of attention, a little bit of it's just like, oh, really? You know my videos on YouTube? That little bit of flattery, and they're done for. Yeah, they have been completely absorbed. Yes, it's more that blob of annihilation doing its work.
You need to draw. Will you draw me a cartoon of the blob of annihilation sitting at a desk with a tie?
Yes.
That would make me so happy.
And just with the skeletal remains of Hasbro employees, floating aside.
Say something like, "Well, you should have multi-class," or something stupid like that.
Yes. Nice. Well, moving on to somebody that hopefully will be producing some games that will give us an alternative. R. Telsarian is working on a new, I guess, original property. It has some inspirations, obvious inspirations, but an original property called Shadowscar. So this was promoted earlier as Project Blue Moon, and now is officially has a name, and they're talking about a 2024 release. So Shadowscar, the multi-dimensional anime-inspired RPG. So this is designed by Cody Pondsmith, and who was the lead designer on both the Witcher RPG and code designer on Cyberpunk Red. So the setting for this is a little interesting, although ninja stuff always kind of makes me not very interested. The Shadowscar
guy in Japan.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's interesting. So there's an interesting thing about this that I'll bring up in a bit. So the Shadowscar Agency is a secret organization of ninja that protect the multiple worlds of the Mosaic. So what they're doing is they're giving you this interdimensional setting that your secret organization is protecting from this incursion of monsters. And so the release of this core book is going to give you 4 of these dimensions. One is a 17th century Japanese folklore setting called the Nakasukune. Yeah, Nakasukune, which kind of means the middle world. It's like a Shinto meaning, but I don't know if they're trying to say the mortal realm or this like realm between heaven and earth. But that's kind of the intention. 1920s pulp noir called Fifth Street, steampunk world called Steel Court, and an alternate history 2030s where the world of refuge, where the Cuban Missile Crisis ended in a nuclear stockpile exploding. So all of these different dimensions are suffering invasions from these monsters from this middle world, and your secret organization is tasked with fighting them. So the underworld of the Yomi no Kuni, led by Izanami, the goddess of death. So I guess, the world of death is the big interloper. So yeah, this has obvious inspirations from Naruto, Demon Slayer, Samurai Champloo, and Cowboy Bebop. The designer admits, Pondsmith said. And in an interview, he said, "I've always found Japanese myth so different from a lot of other mythos, in that so many of the creatures of Japanese myths are less terrifying and more weird. It's like goblins that lick grime off of dirty toilets, and spectral creatures that don't really do anything other than walk behind you at night and freak you out." So in Shadowscar,
He's never had a Bushido character flattened by a Bakemono with a Tetsubo.
right?
They're plenty terrifying.
Yes, they get pretty terrifying. So in Shadowscar, all these creatures have been bound to the will of an evil deity, and they're all enemies. So so he says having a fun time, kind of rendering these creatures for the game. So they're attempting. Talking about cultural sensitivity. So yeah, if you are going to base a game in identifiable, Eastern culture, Japanese culture, a little bit of Chinese in there, they're attempting to reach out to folks. So we have some people we're talking to about culturally consulting for the Japanese setting, because so much of the game is set there. They've been wonderful so far, and we will continue to bother. As we get closer to the release of things. So primarily, it's me at the moment, just because we're kind of laying down the foundation. But it's exciting. It's exciting to bring in other people for future products. So they are paying attention to the sensitivity. But the interesting thing about kind of Japan's, soft empire is even Japanese, studios and creators themselves are very playful with their, pantheon and the demonology and the things in Japan. There's a lot of variation, and so we get a lot of that in Japanese pop culture, in anime and manga. So it's not as sacred. If you were doing something about the Catholic Church, about Catholicism, I think you would you would get a lot more upset. But Japan really does have a more playful, with their kind of rich and kind of unique cultural past. They are playful with it themselves, and I don't think they mind. You never hear people in Japan talking about cultural appropriation. They like when Western people wear kimono. They like when Western people are fascinated with Japanese swords. It helps it endure. It helps it spread. It helps people become kind of these champions or ambassadors of Japanese culture. And even if it's pop culture, even if it's a pop culture version, even Pokemon, still talks a little bit about the kind of yokai and oni tradition of Japan, even though it's a completely silly video game setting. So I think that's interesting, and I think cultural sensitivity in some cases like this is less necessary, because it's already kind of fertile ground for people to kind of play and experiment. And I don't think it's looked at as negatively when it's like Western designers and Western creators doing it. But that being said, I always hate, ninja as a kind of as a setting for characters. It's just silly, because it wasn't really much of a thing, but it's in pop culture. It's so cool. Yeah. Yes.
but come on, we were kids in the 80s. You're supposed to like ninja.
Right. Yeah, that's true. There's a lot of American ninja, all that good stuff. But it does feel kind of, very juvenile to me. It feels like one of those things that, you you fantasized about as a elementary school kid. But as far as playing it in some settings and stuff, and kind of feeling out the rules of it. Yeah, it's silly. But
yeah, well, it's interesting that it's not Mike Pondsmith, it's his son.
Mm-hmm.
I like Mike Pondsmith. I think he's a cool guy, and he doesn't get enough credit as like one of the early role playing architects.
Oh yeah.
But this sounds very 90s to me, which is kind of where Mike Pondsmith really, really made his name. And it's interesting to me that it's his son, not him.
Yeah, that's true.
Even the name sounds 90s edgy.
It does. Yeah.
But the game itself, it sounds like riffs.
Right, right.
And the one that didn't take off like Rifts, Feng
Oh,
Shui,
yeah,
right?
right, right.
Yeah. That was a really cool, game with time travel and interdimensional, villains and stuff like that. And
Hmm.
sounds a little like that too, but with ninjas.
Right. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, interesting. I wonder how much his dad, like, their conversations and stuff, about his kind of, uh lost games and things inspired the setting. Yeah, because you're right, it does seem something more of the taste of his dad than himself. But it may be, and he's, maybe the son can kind of update things to more current, anime tastes and stuff. There's a quick start, a little kind of overview of the system and everything. The artwork, they've got some really nice looking artwork. The character artwork falls down a little bit and looks a little generic when they're showing player characters, but the panels and stuff showing the different settings and a lot of like the kind of demonic or monstrous characters looks great. I mean, it really looks fun and very very 90s, yeah, in its styling. So should be interesting. But so this game will not use the interlock system from Cyberpunk Red and Witcher. It instead will use a new D6 based system called Mosaic. So fixed target number, dice pool system, relevant skill and stat. Rolled 3 or more is a success. 6 is counted as 2 successes. So yeah, so interesting. A little not year zero, and a little bit like like a 2d20, like you've got a target number and you're trying to get 3 or more. So it's you're pretty successful. I guess maybe if you need multiple successes, then that's
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
that's probably what it is. Is like, oh, you need 2 successes or 3.
right. Yeah. So the
Um,
difficulty.
does this tie into that new CD Project Red property, or is this a separate thing?
Oh, I don't know. It didn't say anything about CD Projekt Red because they have the Witcher license, or have been working on the Witcher license, which they've had to kind of set aside while CD Projekt Red kind of develops the setting and everything from for Witcher 4, because they don't want to give anything away too early in the game. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure if this is connected to a video game property. It would make sense if it is, but the artwork and stuff looks very it looks very RPG. It didn't look like like tabletop RPG.
Yeah, I might be imagining, but I thought CD Project Red announced that they were going to have a whole new game with a whole new license, and they were working on. But
I wonder. Yeah, because I know they announced Witcher 4 and then eventually a Cyberpunk sequel, but I'm not sure. Yeah, as far as it said, this is a Pondsmith Jr. inspiration. This is a Cody Pondsmith original setting. So we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. And they named the dice system based on the world of that setting, the Mosaic. So we'll see. So I'll put a link to the PDF where you can take a look at the setting. They've got crazy. Their D6s are very very demonic, very Japanese demonic. They do a nice job with some of the design. Although the layouts, that's the one thing I've always kind of had trouble with their games. I'm never like blown away when you've got companies like Free League and Modifius out there. Artelsaria needs to kind of step up their game with like page layout, because it feels very dated. Like everything they do is a little bit wonky and a little bit dated, and it's fine if you're going for a retro look, but I don't know if that's intentional or if it's just the limitations of their graphic designers. It's hard to tell.
yeah, I think they're still. I mean, even though they partnered with CD Project Red, I think they are still kind of a small operation,
Oh yeah,
relatively speaking. So,
yeah. I think that's true. Yes. So a new one from the little guys. So yeah, take a look at that quick start and see if that looks interesting. And so yeah, that'll be coming out next year, and they're going to do a starter set and then core books. There was a little bit of the release going on of sorry, 2024 will start with an initial starter set, followed by the launch line of core rulebooks, miniatures, and accessories. So they'll do the whole thing. But will there be a T-shirt? That's what everyone wants to know. All right.
a mug.
Yes, and a mug and a coffee mug. All right. And let's wrap it up with some good old dark sci-fi optimism. So the Alien role-playing game has just released the Building Better Worlds campaign book. So Free League's Alien RPG, which is a heck of a lot of fun. We played their cinematic adventures, and the cinematic adventures have kind of jumped around to you playing pre-gens of different, covering a lot of the different classes, kind of character classes they have, character types. The second one focused on the Colonial Marines. Third one, I think, is colonists, and to support that is this new campaign specifically to play on a colony. So this new campaign book it's up for pre-order, so $47 US, and the digital and physical release is January 16th. It's going to give you new characters, gears, ships, and alien species. So a new campaign. The setting, the little blurb about the setting is airless moons circle swirling gas giants, eager to be transformed into tomorrow's paradise. Dark ancient mysteries wait to be unearthed beneath the millennium of debris. Searing solar flares boil your flesh and blacken your bones as you harness the power to light 100 worlds. Unstable tectonic plates shift to drown iridium mines in scalding lava. Even the truth of humanity's origin awaits you out there, orbiting some dying star. And out of there, amongst it all, is something truly horrifying. Something that nature never intended. Something alien. So they're going all in, and it sounds like we're going to get some Prometheus kind of stuff.
Oh,
yeah.
What are they called? Are they called the architects or something like that?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, the big kind of whitish, bluish guys. Yeah, so
space jockeys.
Right. Whatever race that's the space jockey was. Yeah, so they're hinting at that because the license that they have, and you could tell that from their original starter set, kind of covers the whole range of xenomorphs and everything. So we've got all the way from Prometheus to Alien Covenant as possible, xenomorphs and settings and everything. So looks like we're going to kind of stumble into that, mankind's origin, a human's origin on Earth being alien. So the book itself, it's going to be a big old campaign book itself. Will have the history of colonization, creating explorers and colonists, a gear and ship section, an extrasolar species catalog, so new xenomorphs, the lost worlds, so a framework for backstory for a frontier campaign, expeditions, which will be the 6 adventures, playable in any order, and then the end game, which will be a final showdown with everything at stake. So the order that you can play, kind of everything.
Okay.
And an appendix for all of their the new stuff they're adding.
That makes me feel a little better, because when I first heard about it, I thought it was just like sort of a supplement to play a long-term alien game in that system.
Right.
That wasn't like a cinematic thing and you could just keep going.
Mm-hmm.
But it sounds like it has like an arc.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more concise, and that's good, because an indefinite game in that
yes.
world, I think, isn't Alien anymore. It's like Traveler. Or something.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good point. Yeah, you do kind of want to have a climax to whatever this is going to be, and it's cool that they give you six expeditions that you can play differently, and then kind of where the group is just like, I think we're kind of done doing this. That you can kind of do one more big session to wrap it all up. So yeah, that should be a pretty satisfying. Yeah, they didn't list any like who's writing on any of the sessions or anything. There's no credits so far, but hopefully it's like Gasca and some of the Free League people that were writing previously, because they did a really good job with everything so far.
Ooh, you know what you could do, Jeremy?
Mm-hmm.
If you got that, you could hack it and use it for Blade Runner as a better life off-world.
Oh yeah, right. Yes, the off-world colonies.
That'd be kind of cool.
Oh yeah, that'd be fun to play replicants in colony life. Yeah, because you basically have the classes that replicants are represented, soldiers, and doing the hard work of the frontier. Yeah, interesting. So they have so the release is just next month, middle of next month, and and we have a We have a quote from Gorman. I thought this is a funny thing to put in their promotional stuff. So space is a pitch black room. Stick your hand out and you might never get it back. Of course, you also might touch God. It's a gamble either way. To not try, however, is to wither and die. Only those bold and foolish enough to take the chance will change their lives. So I don't know if that's the character from Aliens or if that's a relative of Gorman from who led the Colonial Marines. Nice. But yeah, they've got some nice, kind of flavor text and stuff in the what Free League sent out for the notice, and then a lot of people are covering all the breakdown. So it's great. So they've got a Colonial Marine source book, and now they've got a colonist source book. So I think basically the kind of corp stuff, like maybe corp scientists and executives, is the only thing they haven't really fleshed out yet. And then you basically have everything that they touched on in the core book, fleshed out and playable as far as the situation, the setting, the companies that are opposing each other, all the forces that are out there trying to eat up these worlds. Yeah, so I'm just curious how they're going to layer, because we're going to see recognizable things from the Aliens movies, but then we're also going to see Prometheus and that kind of stuff getting in there.
If they really want to lean into the Prometheus thing, every player character has to always make the worst choice.
Yes.
Be rude and angry and argumentative and poke aliens for no reason.
Right. And of course, bring a romantic partner with them wherever they go. Yeah, right.
That movie was like aesthetically beautiful, but the characters were all so stupid.
Yeah, that was weird. Yeah, both Prometheus and Alien Covenant had that weird like slasher movie thing where you hated the characters and you couldn't wait for them to all be wiped out. They just made them so unlikable. I didn't understand that. Yeah.
Yeah, they were just hostile to each other for no reason.
Right. Because that's what you do in a horror movie, right? Yeah, I didn't like that much. But yeah, they've done a good job so far of using the different kind of evolutions of the xenomorphs and things to play them appropriately, have an appropriate kind of threat level in the different cinematic adventures so far. So hopefully this will continue to do that, give you nice options, and in the pre-written, expeditions and things, it'll work. It'll be a kind of a mashup of everything they're trying to do with this like crazy world building that the Alien franchise has, but it'll still be very playable. So we'll see. So that is going to do it. So building better worlds full of xenomorphs. We'll give that a shot. Yeah, that's something we should, because I think Alchemy is doing we'll have an alien setting. So that would be great, because the atmosphere of that I think is super important. So to have a good VTT with a nice sound and visuals would help a lot.
I would love to play one of those cinematic one shots. I never got to play one of those.
Oh, cool. Yeah, if you haven't, that's great. Because so if you don't have any experience, because the one thing that's frustrating is they're not really replayable unless you're really going to meta game and just like, I know what where this is going, but my character would do this. You have to kind of super role play. Yeah, but no, if you haven't played before, I'd love to run it. Yeah, that would be a really fun thing to do. And they work. I mean, I think we could get enough hours in that we could literally make it a one shot. It could be like 1 or 2 sessions, kind of like similar to Star Trek, because I think they wrap up pretty quick.
Aren't they usually like with kind of 3 acts?
3 acts, yeah.
Structure.
Yes. Yeah. So depending, and I think the first one can move kind of fast. I think the second one is more. There's a countdown. It has a clock on it, so you can kind of limit it time wise. But it has more exploration. It's kind of looking at more of an investigation, kind of figuring out a crime more than the first one is. But I think it's we got to try that. I think that would be very, very fun. So keep an eye on the channel for even more. Yeah. All right. Okay, so Matt,
list is long.
Yes, it's getting long. We got to live a long time. Take your vitamins. So, Matt, where can people find you?
I'm on Threads and Instagram. It's at Hargold, HAARGALD.
Cool.
Where I'm getting muted for posting videos critiquing Critical Role a little bit, not even that much, just a little bit. But no, I talk about games and stuff. But more importantly, tomorrow I'm running this surprise holiday themed game for these guys on the stream.
Yes.
So be here.
Yes.
It's going to be, I think, hilarious.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I like the mystery of it too. So yes, engage in the mystery and find out. Get the reveal tomorrow. It will be revealed exactly what the game is. So excellent. A big question mark so far. A holiday question mark.
How about you?
And yeah, I'm still doing my single panel gag cartoons, so abuse cartoons on YouTube and Twitch. So I draw the cartoons, and I had some amazing chocolate from a convenience store of all places yesterday. And yeah, so that's abusecartoons.com, and then if you want to read the cartoon itself, there's like about 20 years of it on GoComics. So gocomics.com/domestic abuse. And if you like what we're doing here with the weekly, consider becoming a weekling. You can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/upturntable, and let us know what you want to see more of, see less of. Send us some, links to kind of news tips and things that are going on tabletop, and we will discuss it. And then you can also get access to early releases, exclusive content. The audio of this live stream goes on the RSS feed on Patreon, and yes, there's also all that good stuff. Sorry, you can also, if you're watching this on YouTube, there's a join button where you can join to become a member of the channel and get access to the same content, minus the RSS feed, because YouTube hasn't figured that out yet. But now that they're merging their music and podcasts and YouTube together, it may happen. So yes, you can find everything that we're doing on Upturn Table on all social media. And yes, and when I'm still reading the the final volume, it's gonna go well into July, or I'm sorry, well into January. Hopefully not July. It may be July. Well into July, January. If it's anything like my editing for the actual plays, it will be July. But the so into January, we'll still be doing the Dementia, the third volume of the Apostle of Insanity trilogy. So yeah, every night we do a chapter. The chapters are pretty small, but there's a heck of a lot of them. So yeah, tune in for that. And already we're up to 14, I think, went up last night. So yeah, not even halfway through. And yeah, so thanks for joining us. And thanks again, Matt, for, oh, you're this way. Thanks again, Matt, for being here. And we will do this again next week. See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye. All right. And we are back. So, what do you think of this retro star field behind us? I thought this was looks like a battle of the network stars is happening behind us.
I like it. That actually, you know, what it looks like is Buck Rogers,
Oh yeah,
the
yeah,
'70s Buck Rogers.
yeah. Nice. Yeah, I like the nice retro kind of analog look of it.
Speaking of space travel,
Ooh.
and since we're talking about Alien,
Mhm.
I don't think anyone really knows how interstellar travel works
Mm-hmm.
in Alien.
Oh yeah.
Like they never try very hard to explain it at all.
Right. Right.
And sometimes I feel like they're talking about things that would be, you know, like relativity issues,
Mm-hmm.
and other times no, they're just show up. And it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
damn
Yeah.
it, Ridley Scott.
Yeah.
Don't
That's
you know nerds care about shit like that?
yeah. That's really true for that setting. Yeah, it is kind of messy. I wonder. I wonder if the RPG tries to iron it out a little bit so you can actually have rules. You know, because if you need to get from colony to colony, you're going to need some some
Right.
rules. Yeah.
Like if you ever did want to do a long term campaign,
Mm-hmm.
you'd need to know that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm. Well, your character goes to sleep and they just wake up, and hopefully they're not implanted with an embryo.
I would watch, or not watch, listen to this podcast called Rewatchables. Have you ever heard of that one?
It sounds familiar.
Really
Yeah.
good. It's these guys who they basically every episode is centered around a movie,
Mm-hmm.
you know, a beloved movie or beloved by some movie, and they just kind of revisit it, and then they kind of break down they'll go over like history and trivia and
Mm-hmm.
kind of talk about their favorite parts and stuff. And I just listened to one they did on Alien,
Oh.
and it was really cool. There's a lot of documentaries about the making of Alien,
Right.
but just weird little trivia stuff like the captain character Tom Skerritt, I think the actor's name is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That was supposed to be Harrison Ford,
Oh, really?
and Sigourney Weaver's Ripley was originally going to be Meryl Streep.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And it's like, huh?
That's crazy. Yeah, that'd be some crazy casting. Yeah, and it seemed like that was the funny thing. I heard that just recently that Sigourney Weaver had these conditions to come back and play Ripley again because she knew she had them. She was the only surviving character from the first movie, so she knew she had them by the balls. So she got the first $1 million paycheck that a woman in Hollywood ever got, but she had these conditions that she wasn't going to fire any guns. She was going to have sex with the alien and some other thing. There was one more condition. And they said, okay, not this time, but if you saw Alien 3, basically all of her conditions were met. Yes, she didn't fire a gun. She did I mean, not with the alien, but she wasn't intimate with the alien, but she had some really funny ideas. And I think we saw that in the French director that did Resurrection. We saw some of her maybe weird thinking in Resurrection as well about what's going on with Ripley and the alien. But good for her. Good for her. Yes. Crazy. So what's going on in the chat? Yeah, it's good. Good to see Orcus Dorcas. Mm-hmm. Thanks for hanging in there. Oh, yeah, that's right. Talking about some Hasbro. Yeah, right. Well, that's the biggest way to improve your numbers is just get rid of all those pesky salaries. Oof. Employees. Yeah. They do nothing but consume your profits. Yeah, it's nuts. Yeah, I really wonder why they don't care about all the bad news, between Magic the Gathering, D&D, and just Hasbro in general. Why they don't care about all the bad news they put out this year.
I think they feel pretty invincible. Like I think they think they kind of like what I said. I think they feel like they've got their like kind of cult of people, kind of like Games Workshop does, and they're just like, we'll do what we're gonna do, kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Oh, cool. Oh, Orcus mentioned, yeah, we were talking about Candela Obscura. Yeah, said that, horror is about loss of agency, mental or otherwise. And if you don't like that, then yeah, don't play or write horror. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. You can't like softball and make it, because there's not even combat rules. Like the Candela Obscura, in those reviews, people were saying there's no rules for combat. You just kind of say, oh, this thing jumps out at you and it gives you a scar and then it runs away. It's like there's not, you can't resolve any confrontation.
And that was something that the guy pointed out in the video was in the first publication. I guess they changed it, but in the first published version, there were no rules for character death.
Right.
And when they added it into the PDF later, it was like one little paragraph. And it's like, you guys, what are we doing?
Yeah, yeah. That is really really bizarre, because I guess they wanted some jeopardy in the game, so they had to have, because that's the I think it works well for that setting because it's kids, and it's like younger teenage kids. So Tales from the Loop doesn't have death. The characters just go home basically.
Yeah. Kids on bikes, I get it. But
yeah. So
this is supposed to be like Victorian horror,
right? You just faint. But yeah, it's yeah. So I think that's a big misstep, and I think it's just because when you're designing, like if you have too much in mind, this like big audience that you want to reach, it's like, oh well, some people are going to want this, and some people are going to want this, and you're trying to please everybody. It just makes these anodyne, very, flavorless things, and I don't think game design works well when you've got those kind of, you put those weird requirements on it.
Yeah, I don't understand why people can't just like make the game they think is fun and they like, because either it's too kiddie, edges filed off like that, or it's this MCDM thing where it's like, hey, if you like these things, fuck off.
Right.
It's like, you can just make the game like a fun game that you like and not worry about all that other crap.
Yeah, not having to address. You don't have to have your manifesto at the beginning of your rule book and say, this is what we believe. It's like, no, this is, we'll figure it out. I'm sure from your game design choices and setting, we'll figure out what you believe. It's not going to be that hard. Yeah.
Yeah, I like horror game stuff where it starts affecting your faculties, or it gives you narrative hooks that you can play on. Now, that is up to the players, and I understand that some people are real.
Yeah.
They're not going to lean into that enough for it to be fun, but for people that would, like, I think that covers you, right? You don't have to have weird rules explaining kleptomania. You can just
right.
have your character, you can role play it. Go figure, in a role playing game.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I like that a lot, and I like the a lot of the adventures that we played for Vaesen had the hallucinatory, like the some of the powers were be able to force images, the magical, the Vaesen themselves had magic that could force you to see things, but it was all kind of giving you clues to what the connections were and what was going on. So it was done well. Yeah, it was meant to kind of disorient you and terrify you, but also like connect you more to, oh, okay, wait, there's something in the water. Yeah.
Yep.
Nice. Oh, I got something fun to show you. You have to look on I guess with the delay you may not see it for a few seconds.
5 seconds.
Yeah,
I counted.
Okay. So Titan Forge, the guys that did their sci-fi version, did the 5 parsecs official miniatures. They must be dealing with Free League, and they have a license to do the official Dragonbane miniatures. So the pre-gen characters for Dragonbane, all 5 of them now have STLs. So they have official miniatures.
People have already made these and been showing their painted versions on the Dragonbane Facebook group.
Nice. Yeah, that's where these come from. Yeah.
I want that duck so bad.
Yeah. Oh, I can get my printer going over the holidays, Matt. Yeah, no, that would be a nice. You guys played those characters so
That would
well.
be
Yeah.
fun to get. Yeah, because we're gonna need the Archmaester and Orla.
Hmm.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so it's part of a kind of a subscription service. It's a reward you get right away, but they do a subscription service, and how they lure you in is every month they're going to be doing more miniatures of the monsters from the adventure book for Dragonbane. So the Death Knight, the White, and the Lady are going to be this next month for the Rittermond adventure. Yeah, so they're going to keep doing monsters for it. So yeah, I think it's a really good idea, and it looks like they're well done from the things that people have printed, and then they're just their renders here. They look like they did a good job.
The detail compared to the illustrations is like really good.
Yeah, yeah. So
Now, do they offer actual physical print on demand, or is it strictly STL?
it's just STLs because this is through My Mini Factory. Oh, but My Mini Factory is coupled with, or they are either partnered or they bought out that games printer, the one that Chris loves so much, the one that printed all the kind of 6mm stuff for Chris. So you may be able to get them printed out through My Mini Factory if they still have that connection. Yeah, I'll take a look at that. But yeah, I thought that was great that they and I think that Titanforge company is doing a great job of reaching out to these smaller publishers that aren't going to, because Modifius, they love their miniatures, so every time they do a crowdfunder or whatever, they'll do miniatures for their new settings or whatever. But a lot of these other companies, and I don't think Free League is really interested in getting into the miniature production business. So having a studio that knows 3D art and 3D printing is a good license, or a good way to partner. So yeah, that was good to see. So yeah, there are Dragonbane official miniatures in digital form. Nice. Yeah, I thought that would that would make you happy. That was a fun surprise. That and I like the fact that it's not just fan made stuff, so they have to 25% different it up so that it looks commercially distinct if they want to sell it. It's actually the characters from.
Yeah, it's not
adventure.
like a knockoff Space Marine or something. Yeah.
Right. Nice. Yeah, I think Miguel made the point. Kyle is still looking for that downtrodden person of color to fill those positions. So layoffs are going to happen until they can really diversify their office.
Sometime Kyle should have jumped in front of that lady that had the 28-year tenure and said, "No, take me."
Yes, I know. You would think that this would be his chance to redeem himself. He would want the three black halflings to say, "There's our guy. He stands by his word."
He must have been out with a cold that day.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, he was. He started his paid Christmas vacation early, and so he didn't get put on the list. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah.
Yeah, Orca said he was hiding in the company lounge fridge and made it through the day.
Yeah, it's probably one of those old lead-lined fridges. So yeah, he was totally totally undetectable. Nice. Orcus figured out the professor who you alluded to.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but I think you're right though. That's definitely a and you could tell. I don't know. I think that's the thing that's kind of poisonous about YouTube that I want to always resist, to go after the easy views, and you're just gonna if you do that clickbait stuff and take a real hard position one side or the other, you're going to get your comments going crazy. You're going to get people angry because a few of the things that I've clipped out of of this live stream and just kind of done little short versions of, it gets people that have never seen our videos before or never watched the live stream watching it, but they hate it and they just want to fight with you. And I don't think we want this like contentious community of like, what are these assholes going to say this week? You want people to that are just here to enjoy the hobby and have the same kind of tastes in games and things, and it's not going to be a virtual fist fight every week, which is I think what they don't realize that they're getting themselves into, because they're going to step on somebody's toes and they're going to get something something headed their way if they, if the audience builds just because everything is so clickbaity.
So wait, did they really get rid of the barbarian in the
Oh,
player's handbook?
I don't know. That would be weird with all of those subclasses.
How is that culturally insensitive? I mean, you're not saying like the French barbarian.
Right,
I mean,
right.
you know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't. That's weird.
That is really bizarre. Yeah, barbarians and not barbarian. Weird. Yeah, but they've been so hypersensitive to everything that you can, say is a marginalized group. So yeah, in some use in English, yeah, barbarians at the gate kind of thing, does kind of say, oh, the uncivilized, the end of our civilization is coming. So yeah, it's
Every culture did that.
yeah.
Every.
Right,
I mean, isn't that kind of what gaijin is like?
Oh
It's
yeah,
like,
yeah, right. No, that's
mean,
true.
everybody did that.
Yeah, it's just yeah, outsider. Yeah, the outside person. I think is kind of the translation. Yeah. So we are invaders. Yeah, but so which is basically saying invader. Basically, just saying, hey, invader.
That we regard as culturally below us.
Yeah, right. Yeah, or a threat to the status quo. Yeah. It's really funny. You can't get too so speaking of, so I'll bring this up, and if there's a bigger discussion here. So there was a YouTuber that brought up an interesting point in Dungeon Crawl Classics. So they seem to be trying to future-proof or do something with the text in their books. So they took out the names of a lot of white men that they were unhappy that they were all in a list together. So previously, let me bring this up real quick. Previously the list was, so they have this little thing at the beginning, and I'll just read it instead of bringing it up on screen. But they have their little list of things you should believe. Ye who enter here, turn the pages of this tome. Only should you meet these. So the qualifications. The first qualification has read for the first 8 editions, eight printings, not editions, but 8 printings of Dungeon Crawl Classics, that you are a fantasy enthusiast of imaginative mind, familiar with the customs of role-playing, understanding the history and significance of the elder gods, Gygax and Arneson, and their cohorts, Bledsaw, Holmes, Jaques, Kask, Kuntz, Menser, Moldve, and Ward, and knowledgeable of the role of judge and the practice of adventure. So that has since, as of the 9th printing, been changed to customs of playing. Okay, so customs of role-playing, and then starting with understanding the history is gone. So understanding the history is no longer there, and replacing it says aware that a party is strongest when it is most diverse, acknowledging fantasy's roots while helping it grow to meet the challenges of the future, and to be acquainted with the role of judge and practice of adventure. Yeah, so they took the names of the original designers, the originators of the hobby, in favor of this just very generic, inclusive diversity sentence. And so the YouTuber Dungeon Delver, I believe was the channel, contacted Goodman and said, "Why did you do that?" And it does really seem like they're just trying to prevent someone from picking that out in the future and saying, "Hey, what's with this list?" Because they didn't alter the artists, the kind of artist credits. So they were talking about the visual hieroglyphs rendered in the common tongue as Otis, Easley, Roslov, Holloway, Caldwell, Treppier, D, Crompton, and Miller. So they give the artist list, and those are all white guys too, but I guess, you got to credit the artists. So it was interesting. So he contacted Goodman, and Goodman said, "Yeah, I don't know. It's just to change that. We change the book all the time. I don't specifically know. Why are you so worried about this list of names?" And that was kind of the extent of their exchange. But then Goodman contacted the YouTuber again and said, actually, that is a question I get a lot at conventions. People don't know who Arneson is. People don't know who, Ward or Jacques or Menser are, because those names are starting to get lost with the kind of newer version of things. They don't acknowledge that. So, maybe there is some importance to to reminding people of where OSR comes from.
Who is this at Goodman Games that's answering these questions?
I think it was Goodman. I think it was
Mark Goodman.
Yeah, Mark Goodman. Yeah, that responded directly.
That makes no sense because, and I know this because like I went through a real DCC fascination phase, and what sold me on it was their love of the history of the game. Like they would hang that appendix in reference everywhere. Like they would talk about all the old fantasy writers and pulp writers and myths and legends that inspired Gygax and Arneson to the point where Gygax had the appendix in, what was that, in the DM's guide or the player's handbook? No, the DM's guide.
Yeah.
And where he would cite all his sources, all his inspirations, right? So for him to answer it where he's like not excited about explaining the history of the game to some novice at a convention.
It
doesn't make any sense because that's not where they've been coming from the whole history up to this point. Like that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's weird, but it does like kind of stink of future proofing the game. They are aware of what people are might complain about, so they want to make sure that they don't end up in a future like, hey, wait a minute, this game, because the already fantasy as the setting being problematic to some crowds, they're basically saying that's how we align ourselves. And it's weird because I think, and I agree, I like, that was the appeal of Dungeon Crawl Classics, is their kind of veneration of the founders, of the inventors of the hobby. So it's weird that they would change that.
I would let him know what Errol Otis thinks about it because he's still an active gamer. He's still actively doing work for Goodman and other companies. Like, I would love to know what he thinks about it because he freaking knew those people. Right. Yeah. And Goodman's kind of like ghosting them. You know what I mean? Like, that's weird.
No, that's true. Yeah, the Dungeon Delver. I'll post the a link to that video. So there we go. Yeah, the DCC controversy clarified. Yeah, I'll put it directly into YouTube because it's acting strange. The shared one isn't responding. So, yeah, if you're curious what we're talking about, so this is a guy that directly contacted Goodman Games and said, "Why'd you make the change and the addition?" So, The Dungeon Delver is the name of the YouTube channel.
All right, cool.
And he does a nice job of not making it this like, whoa, and then I said, and then he said, and not, throwing a fit over it. But it does have they're just trying to make sure that they blend into this very flavorless, uninteresting future that Candela Obscura is part of. Yeah, very odd.
Yeah, I think earlier in the thread, it was Miguel or somebody was saying like when the Critical Role did a Call of Cthulhu one shot, the guy opened with a 5-minute dissertation on what an awful person Lovecraft was.
Right.
And I kind of feel like, aren't we sort of past all of this? Like, can we get, okay, yeah. It's like the Nazi thing from earlier, right? It's like, we're starting from knowing Lovecraft was a xenophobe and a weirdo.
Right.
We're not here to talk about his personal life. We're here to talk about this game based on some pretty cool stories, you know?
Yeah, there was It's that is very interesting that has to be a thing. And I think it's just because a lot of those people are coming from, I've got to virtue signal this as hard as I can to make sure,
Yeah.
I'm one of the good guys. I don't know. Yeah, I guess it's just because it's easy especially the tabletop hobby and the fantasy setting, to point fingers and say, oh yeah, that's why you like this. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, that's a funny thing. But yeah, I thought that was a funny back and forth, and then quickly Goodman Games is like, oh yeah, that's kind of what we were all about, isn't it? And kind of educating the future and continuing a tradition, and kind of and they do such a good job there. Those modules, I mean, they're porting them to 5e, but they put so much supplemental material in those Adventures Reincarnated, where they do the old classic D&D modules, and put so much of their history, the history of the writing of it, and then a total reproduction of the original book itself in a large hardcover format. That's really nice.
Did they join the Orc?
Oh, I wonder. Yeah.
I wonder which way they went on that. Because they put out a lot of 5e stuff now.
Yeah, right. They have. Yeah. Yep. Goodman Games is going. Oh, this is Reddit, so I'm not 100% sure we can trust this. But back in January, it said Goodman Games is going with the Orc, Paizo's Orc. Yep, Paizo goes Orc.
Okay.
Or Goodman Games goes Orc with Paizo. Yeah. Yep. I guess that confirms it. Yeah, so and that means no more. Yeah, they won't be doing more of their 5e. And that's funny because didn't Dungeon Crawl Classics, like the company Goodman Games, like started out just doing like what did they call it? Like a class, their 5th edition adventures, like
the classic module stuff.
Yeah. But the early stuff, like they have the 100 adventures for DCC, but the first half of those maybe are all basically for 5e. It's before they release their own system. Yeah. So interesting. That'll we'll see. And maybe that is just part of them preparing themselves to go out on their own. We will not utter the word. Oh, that's interesting. I wonder if that was a recommendation, like a legal or some kind of advisory recommendation. If you are moving away from the OGL, if you're not going to support anything Dungeons and Dragons, don't say the names. Don't say names of the
really, like a lawyer told them, don't be linked to it.
I wonder. I wonder if that was like a decision. They're like, oh yeah, if we're going with the Orc, not the OGL.
That feels extra paranoid to me, because it's not based on the modern Dungeons and Dragons.
No, that's true. That is an odd way to do it. Huh. Yeah. So they are orking it up. That's funny. Wow. Yeah. So I thought that was a fun thing to bring up. Yeah. And I don't think that video itself is not doing insane. Yeah, it's only got like 2,000 views, but that's a really, like, that was a direct exchange that this, that this YouTuber had and everything. Very interesting.
Now that I'm thinking about it, because they are taking steps. They had a Goodman Games on their YouTube channel. They had an ongoing series with these two guys called Talking TSR, where they would basically just reminisce about old modules and stuff. They ended that. Like, I literally watched the last episode last week.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
So maybe they're just, someone decided they're going to have to make some really dramatic step away, or it's weird.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, and it's funny that why wasn't that part of Goodman's response? Is moving away from the OGL, that we thought that we don't want to reference TSR employees. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's very funny. Well, there's going to be a lot of that. I think next year, especially when the full, what that VTT and everything becomes a known quantity, and this new version of 5th edition, this revision becomes this revisionist history they're going to do. will, be in full force, and we'll see how it's going to be to compete against it, and who is actually going to be able to take advantage of what they're screwing up. Should be fun. We'll have lots to talk about, I'm sure.
Miguel and Orcus had a couple good shots at Prometheus.
Oh, nice. Oh,
be a strong professional female character that blows her training in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then Orcus said all scientists are required to remove their helmet on every new planet discovered.
Yeah. They must have had some bad professor, in science school that said, you really want to smell the environment to really get a sense of where you are. You want to be able to smell it. Yeah.
When you see creepy worms in pools of water, make sure you take your helmet off and lean in really close.
Yeah, right. They may have something important to say. Yeah. Yeah, it's too bad. Oh, well, the Year of the Dragon shall be interesting.
Oh, man. That's crazy that it timed out to actually be the Year of the Dragon.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I don't think they fudged the year or anything. Yeah, 74. So yeah,
74. Yeah.
Yeah, so they weren't, manipulating it. It's just destiny. Well, it's destiny that they're just completely gonna fumble this, and we're gonna see some like weird $1,000, collector's items, 50th anniversary. I don't know, something coming out that they expect people to get excited about. Although I think, I don't know. I guess you can't say that. Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons have some crazy consumers, some crazy whales that will, buy just about anything.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So we'll see that. We'll see what they try to serve them up next year.
Abyss said, "You need viewers. Me and Miguel need people to argue with."
That's right. We'll get more viewers just so there's people entering the fray. That's right. Yeah, that's what it should be called. We shouldn't call it chat. We should call it the fray. Let's take a look at the fray. How's that going this week? Yeah. It's very funny.
That's funny if Gloomhaven and D&D did get rid of Barbarian, because I'm literally like, Will's getting ready to have us play test his new RPG system, and I'm literally making a like fish out of water barbarian who comes from a culture that practices blood magic. So yeah, I want to make sure I offend everybody.
Yes. Yeah, that's so Gloomhaven too. Wow, I didn't. Yeah, so not just D&D. Gloomhaven.
Yeah, that's what they were saying.
Wow,
interesting.
That's weird. Yeah.
Because was it Magic that got rid of Shaman, right?
Yeah, they had and Witch. Yeah, Witch and Shaman. They were worried about the depictions of. It's funny. I mean, it's like. I guess, this is the, kind of when these pop cultures and when they get more global and you're trying to talk to many, you're never going to be able to satisfy this weird, like how people use different words and how people's, terms have become used throughout histories of different cultures. You're never going to be able to be sensitive enough and catch everything. You just have to reduce everything to a series of letters and numbers, and that's all you can. It's just like, I will play an A1, you be B2,
yeah,
and that's all we can do because, and it's really funny how, and language the same way that language works. When you're doing this fantasy world and trying to come up with these interesting sounding names and stuff in other languages, you're probably lacing your game with profanity and not even knowing it. So it's. It's just silly. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it is funny because, like you were saying earlier, the Japanese seem to be pretty okay with, people taking from their myths and legends and what have you. But I think, they also have been super don't give a F about using other people's culture, mythology.
Right, yeah.
Like,
no, that's true.
Just from the outsider watching some anime, sometimes they'll do some, obviously like Western fantasy inspired stuff that's just totally wackadoodle. You know,
Yeah, right, right.
they don't care, and I don't care. So
No, I think that's true because certain writers or artists do have kind of a Western European fetish. They like the setting, they like the look of that, but yeah, they don't. But it's very Japanese, like the politics and everything, and how they make the societies. It still feels very Japanese, but it just has this like veneer of like Western Europe. So yeah, it comes across very odd. The only time I've ever seen Japanese people get upset about a cultural kind of this is an extreme appropriation, but Kim Kardashian wanted to make some kind of like spats kind of girdle thing for thick women, and she wanted to trademark the term kimono because she wanted to name her brand Kim Ono, kimono, because her name was in the word. So she literally filed a trademark for kimono, and then Japan said, no, that's a cultural dress that you cannot, a word that's in Japanese that you cannot own. You cannot do that. So that was the only time I've ever seen Japan kind of angry at America, like kind of messing around.
Yeah, some of that stuff's weird. Like we used to live next to an Indian family, and the mom gave my wife like a traditional what do you call it? It was a sari, right? The sort of dress thing, and she really wanted my wife to wear it. She was always asking if she had tried it on or wear it, And my wife, she wasn't comfortable doing that or whatever. But I mean, it's just the perspective is like so different than the standard Western perspective.
Oh yeah. Well, especially because you're dealing with more monocultures. Like it is the cultural dress of India or the cultural dress of Japan, and they know that. And you wearing it's not going to change that. They're not going to say, "Oh, damn, now it looks better on you, so we can never wear it again." That's not going to happen. But in the U.S., where people brought their little bags and parcels of culture with them, and they're trying to protect this thing, and they're trying to speak English, and they're trying to, be good Christians, and they're trying to work in the factory, but they want to keep their smelly food or their something, alive. Then, that's where so much of that cultural sensitivity comes from, is just they don't want to be, homogenized. They don't want to lose that. So I think different cultures, and especially I would say Asian American cultures, because they conflict a little bit more, from Western European, from kind of Western European base in the U.S. So they feel much more protective of that. So I think Asian Americans are especially more sensitive to. So that's why you get that. But when you actually talk to Japanese, I think Japanese Americans are probably more sensitive, than Japanese would be.
Oh yeah,
just because of that that nature and how it's also used.
Looks like you got another one of those quality kick people in your stream there, Jeremy.
Oh, nice. Welcome, kick visitors. Yeah. Oh, is that we got some twerking or something? Thank you. Kickster. Thank you for visiting us. And I guess you can do really
drive-by twerking.
Nice. They don't like all this tabletop talk. That's still, I still think that's so funny that Japanese call tabletop role-playing games table talk tabletop games. So you're talking at the table, so it's a table talk. Because otherwise, that's they're kind of appropriated their loan word version of, so a TTRPG is a table talk RPG. And I guess because console and PC RPGs have such a huge presence here that they have to make sure you understand, no, we're not going to sit around and play our Game Boys, we're going to talk at a table. That's the TT over here.
That's how old I feel. I am. Like every once in a while, I'm like, I remember when RPG meant what everyone says is a TTRPG.
Right. Yes, we lost the control of that word once it became a genre of game. Yeah, that's why it makes Google and everything so miserable to search for things, because even sites that cover one sometimes cover both, so they kind of mix and match. You got, Final Fantasy releases in there with the new 5e adventure. Yeah, very random. The beauty of Kick. Yeah, we got to find some other platforms to stream to, I think. We just aren't, unless we're going to do some gambling. If we're going to start doing gambling live on the stream, then we'll stay on Kick. Yeah. Oh man. Well, good. Well, yeah. Let's get ready for tomorrow. And so thanks, Matt, for putting this all together. I'm sure it can't be, especially because alchemy is not quite there yet. It can't be a completely easy conversion.
Fortunately, it's a very stripped down narrative kind of game, so I don't need too many bells and whistles.
Oh, cool.
So actually, alchemy is probably perfect for that.
Oh, nice. Oh, nice. Oh, good. Okay. Excellent. Well, yeah, looking forward to it. Yeah, so about this time, like a couple hours ago, this time tomorrow, we'll be playing the mystery game, the Title Redacted RPG. Yeah. So keep an eye on this channel. So if you're interested and you're not already subscribe to the channel if you watch this, and you'll get a notification of when we go live, and you can just get right in on that. And I think, has Alchemy added the spectator mode yet? Is that still in the works? Okay.
You can allow public spectating. I don't know if that works with our setup exactly, because I don't know.
Yeah, they'll just see the desktop move. They won't hear us or anything.
If I turn on the mic, will it mess up the stream?
Right. Yeah. We'll have to take a look at that, because we might have to change how we do things. Although it's going to be hard to give up that Discord recording. That little bear is pretty useful.
Yeah, I don't think we want to do that just yet. But maybe we can play with the settings before we actually go live tomorrow and see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that works. Cool. Well, yeah, so keep an eye on the channel for that. And thanks, Matt, for co-hosting. It's always fun to talk through the topics of the week and the layoffs of the season. Jesus, that's brutal. It's but hopefully, with the experience that those people have, hopefully they'll go to smaller publishers and they'll actually find communities that they can devote their career to, instead of people that are gonna kick them out of their fancy building in Providence.
Those people are all going to celebrate was it Festivus this year? The Seinfeld one,
right?
Like, I got a lot of problems with you people.
Oh man. All right. Well, thanks for joining us. And thank you to all the patrons and members on the channel. And remember, you can sign up free on the Patreon to get notifications of what stuff goes up there and what we're doing when. And that'll do it. And we'll be back again next week. Goodbye.
Bye.